Good morning, everybody. Same process. We'll start with a brief opening statement from Coach, then come around with microphone holders for questions. So we'll turn it over to Coach.
Really proud of the effort that the guys put in on the game. I thought it was a physical contest and a good, solid opponent. Coach Narduzzi does a fantastic job with those Pitt Panthers, and I was really, really proud of the effort and the way the guys played the game. Game balls for the game. Defense is Bellamy. Special teams is Elijah Clark. And offense was Dan Villari. In closing, I really want to thank the fans that came out to support us in Yankee Stadium. You could definitely hear them. And to get an opportunity to go back and celebrate with the band up there in that tall corner, it was awesome after the game. And for the guys to go over there and rally and show them how much we support those band members and everybody else being there for us, it was really nice. We've got a very, very good opponent this week. Coach Key is doing an amazing job at Georgia Tech, and those guys are really, really high in the conference, and we know they have a fantastic team with 5 fantastic athletes. And we know it's going to be difficult. We know it's going to be hard. And we're looking forward to going down there and having the opportunity to play that football team. Questions?
We'll start right at Emily, and then go to Tommy the second row after that.
When going back through the film from Saturday, was there a specific offensive play or moment that you were most proud of the guys being able to pull off and execute in this unique game plan?
You know, I thought one of the biggest plays was of the defensive play by Bellamy. For him to get that interception, and then it's not so much Bellamy made a fantastic play on the ball, but if you watch all the blocks that were made, they were classic. Pay attention to details. Don't give them an opportunity to throw a flag. This can be a fantastic play. Rally, scratch, claw. Don't clip. Don't do this. Show your hands. I mean, they turned that interception basically into a punt return for a touchdown. I thought the defense and the personnel that were on that side of the field did an amazing job.
What about on offense? Was there an offensive play at all that stood out?
There was a lot of offensive plays that stood out because we had a lot of offensive plays and we scored a lot of points. I thought the biggest thing about what happened offensively is what happened with the offensive line. For that offensive line to be able to churn out, 366 yards, something to that effect on the ground versus a tough physical Pitt team, that was impressive.
Tommy, second row.
Hey, Coach. How do you build off and continue the success and the strategy of football that you played on Saturday while also knowing that Georgia Tech has that whole game on tape and we'll see those plays?
You know, that it was quite a task to pull that off in a short week, and the coaches rallied and did a really nice job, but you can't do that without the players buying in. And I thought the players gave us the opportunity, allowed us to show them that this could happen differently. We can do this differently. You got to believe. You got to have faith. And by the time we got to game time, I thought we had that. Now, it was close at halftime, but when you looked in their eyes at halftime, Tommy, you could tell that they were all there. They were all locked in. And that's why the fourth down stop down by the goal line on the one, when we didn't get in, and you turn around with Bellamy with the big play getting us in, that was the snowball going downhill that we needed. And from that point on, it got extremely fun.
Do you see that being able to continue these next few weeks?
Never know. You know, we're gonna always play towards our personnel, and we have to find out what personnel we have, because it was an extremely physical game, and the training room is filled up. Okay.
Go back in front to Chris here in the middle.
How different was your week as coaches to come up with something so different from like a brainstorming perspective?
It was long, and it was lack of sleep. Our eyes are not so clear. But it didn't matter how fresh we were. The only thing that matters is the players are fresh. And we were tired. Offensively, we were tired coaches. But that's okay. That's okay.
I don't know if you'd be willing to share in terms of where the brainstorm sort of came from, but did it come from you sort of telling Jason, hey, we need to be more physical, and this is what he came up with? Did another coach sort of, come up with the grain of sand that became an idea?
I knew you were going to ask this question, so I've really thought about this answer. It was Team Syracuse. It was Team Us. And the entire Ohana bought in.
We'll go to Tyler on the end, then back to Emily. Emily, if you can grab the mic and get it down on the end.
So, Coach, you had mentioned personnel is going to play an impact in scheme going forward. What would it take for you to want to move away from the strategy you employed on Saturday?
Health. Health forced us to play that way, and health can move us away from it.
Back to Emily in front.
Well, we're on the topic of health. Garrett, after his one of two throws on Saturday, kind of looked like he was reaching towards his pec, his shoulder area, seemed to be visibly uncomfortable. If you had needed him to throw more than that 5-yard pass in the game, would he have been able to comfortably?
Emily, too much information on an open meeting.
Would Garrett have been able to throw for more than 5 yards on a single pass Saturday?
Heard you the first time you asked me in English, too much information in an open meeting.
What about Carlos then? He, I don't believe, was suited. Obviously, we know he had been injured, and you hadn't heard last week when we talked to you. What's his status right now?
I saw him yesterday, and he was moving through space extremely well, and I was like, Carlos, you're moving better than I thought you'd be moving, but we still got to wait and see what the doctors say this week.
What if Brian, if you pass it right next to you, Emily?
What have the doctors told you to this point?
They haven't told me anything. They see these guys on Monday night.
I mean before, like last week. What was last week's report?
On
the quarterbacks.
which one?
I'll ask about both Garrett and Carlos.
Garrett was a maybe, and so he played. Carlos was a no.
How would you characterize how the quarterbacks now further down the depth chart can throw the football?
Ask the question again.
So asking about Braden Davis, asking about Luke McPhail, we didn't see a lot of passes against Pitt. Like, how can they throw the football? Are they capable of
They're
running an
quarterbacks.
offense?
They can throw the football. We didn't feel like, based off of what was going on in the game plan, we didn't feel like we had to.
We'll go to Henry and then back to Jesse.
You've talked about just how the team bought in. Obviously, the wide receivers didn't really there were no catches from them at all. Were they, like, throughout the week able to buy in like the rest of the team, or did they take a little longer than just?
Well, I've coached wideouts for a long time. I've coached quarterbacks. I've coached running backs. I've coached DBs. I've coached everybody except the O-line and the D-line. I played linebacker. Wide receivers are different, but they are my babies. I love wide receivers. I say the exact same thing. I've been saying it for 4 decades. They're a little bit different, okay? But they're special. And we could not have pulled off what we did Saturday night without the wideouts. Those perimeter blocks are key in what we were doing. And those guys bought in 100%. One of those guys with a C on their chest bought in. And I couldn't be more proud of what those guys did. Coach Johnson did a really nice job. Coach Campanelli did a really nice job with those receivers and those tight ends on those perimeter blocks. And you can't even think about lining up in something like that if you're not going to have the perimeter blocked.
What does it take, like, for a wide receiver to kind of, like, shift that, like, kind of thinking of, instead of being a pass catcher most of the game, I'm just going to be a blocker?
You have to be absolutely unselfish, and you have to believe in something greater than yourself.
So if you take that back to Jesse.
Coach, you mentioned the blocking of the wide receivers, but for the offensive line as a whole, knowing the up and down season that they've had, to see them put their heads down and, have you guys get, was it almost 400 rushing yards, I believe it was, in the game, just for something along the lines of that. But
I'm on the Georgia Tech. I don't have the numbers.
But just to see them put their heads down and put a performance like that together on the field. Was that kind of, the potential that you saw from this starting five all the way back in camp?
They were sitting over there yesterday, and they got a huge round of applause from everybody else in this room. I couldn't be more prouder of them. They've been the butt of too many jokes this year, popped up in too many articles. And for them to rally around and do something like that as a unit, and I was really, really proud of them. And that's even with Joe Cruz, playing a lot at guard, mixing it in and out, at Bradford's position. I couldn't be more proud of them. And you definitely had to have faith that they could do that, but now you no longer have to have faith, because you can look at the results, that it is definitely possible.
Go in front to Michael.
Coach, I don't know if you got a chance to see him, but last night some of the local high school championships were in the Dome. I talked to Dante Bechet after the game, and he said that he could see himself playing in the Dome for a long time. What does it mean to you from a recruiting perspective that there is still local interest in the program?
There should be local interest in the program. I mean, this program is historic. One of the reasons I came here is because of the history of this football program. And anyone that really loves football and really knows the history of it should have something in their heart for Syracuse University.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go back across the front to Brent and Emily.
Coach, do you have a story or a performance that relates to what Dan Villari did, a player stepping into a different position, taking on a different role? Is there something that has come along in your career that you can compare it to?
Yes. We had a similar thing happen I want to say my junior year at Hawaii. We lost 3 quarterbacks, and we were going to play Arizona State, who was ranked in the top 20. I can't remember if it was the 11th or 12th game of the year. And I do remember that I want to say they had a quarterback by the name of Mark Malone was their quarterback, who's a big decathlete guy. Awesome body, great looking cat. But we had lost our quarterbacks, and we took the best competitor on our team, our free safety on defense by the name of Blaine Geisen, and moved him to the offense, and he played quarterback. And you got to go look up the stats, because this is really eerie. I may be off on the stats. This was a long time ago. But I want to say that we threw like 7 passes, and we completed like 2 or 4 of them, and I'm not sure they were all his. I think that some other positions, some running backs completed some passes, but his leadership, his courage, the way he ran the ball, and the way the team rallied behind him, we came up with a big win versus Arizona State, who was ranked and we were not ranked. And to be able to do something like that, and to get everybody else to be unselfish, they got to be rallying behind somebody they believe in. And I said this at the post game, but when you talk about LaQuinn Allen and Dan Villari, and we didn't know Garrett Schrader was going to be available, but you add Garrett Schrader to the mix, and you've got 3 guys that have a huge heart and they play the game the right way.
Emily?
LaQuinn got his eye poked on Saturday. I'm curious if you saw that play and what your thoughts were, because there's definitely discourse about whether it was dirty play or not.
I'm not going to talk about the play itself. I did see the play, and I know Pat Narduzzi extremely well. He's a very close friend of mine, and I'm sure that, that'll be handled. But the play speaks for itself.
And then you mentioned just not knowing when, if Garrett would be available, and you had said earlier he was a maybe for the week. When did you guys definitively find out, okay, he's got the okay from the trainers, he can go out and be a part of this?
I'm not going to get into the exact detail of it, but when they told us that he was available, all we had to do was switch some plays around. He's a valuable member.
Go to Tommy and then Tyler down here in front.
Looking ahead to Saturday with 2 teams coming in at 5-5, both playing for bowl eligibility, what type of football game are you expecting?
Physical. exciting, close.
And how about the Yellow Jackets? What stands out to you so far from what you've seen?
Just their tenacity. I mean, that's a good football team. It's got a bunch of conference wins. It's up at the top. It's not down at the bottom. Their quarterback is extremely, extremely good. Their tailback combination is fantastic. They have a receiver faster than everybody on our team, 10-2, 100 meters. That guy should be on the Olympic track team, not playing football. And that doesn't even count their defense. Their defense is huge, big defensive line, guys that run around. They're an extremely talented team. And then they got, a guy that used to play for us playing for them. So, it's another one of those deals where we got a guy with a Syracuse degree down there playing football for them, and we're happy for him. But, hopefully we'll find a way to score one more point and come out with a W.
So as you just mentioned, one win away from bowl eligibility, and a lot of people see getting to a bowl as kind of the marker of a successful season. Do you agree? Is getting to a bowl game what dictates a successful college football season?
When I played, counting my redshirt year, I played on 5 years. I played 5 years in college, counting my redshirt year. Never played on a losing football team. Never went to a bowl game. It's back in the times when there wasn't a lot of bowl games. Okay, so for me to be able to say I never played on a losing college football team and never played on a bowl game, everybody's looking at me like, what? That's how it was back in the day. So when guys start this, you have levels, championships, national championships, da-da-da. But the bottom part of success is getting these guys to a bowl game. They give up their summers. They go through broken bones, torn ligaments, surgeries. If we can find a way to get them to a bowl game, to me, that's a good thing.
Back to Michael in front.
Thank you. Coach, circling back to Georgia Tech, they've got Georgia, the #1 team in the country, to close out the year. So how do you prepare for a team that's probably playing with a bit more desperation this week, knowing that it's their best chance to get bowl eligibility before the season's over?
I can't speak for Georgia Tech, and I can't speak for their schedule either. I mean, that's their rival. They play them a lot. We have rivals that we play a lot. My focus is on Syracuse and staying locked in with the guys in this room and making sure that we can better or match the effort that we just put in last week at Yankee Stadium.
Go all the way back to Natty.
Coach, you said that the guys had to buy in to get the win over Pitt. Now heading into this week, snapping that losing streak, have you seen a shift in the mindset from the players at all?
Haven't seen them on the field. When we came in here yesterday, it's a good feeling. You hand out game balls because we only hand out game balls after a win. So we were sitting on some game balls to hand out that had been around for a while. And then when we announce the new guys, then we go through our film study. So there's, you won the game, but you've got to go through some bad stuff too, and trying to get that stuff to be exactly right, to be perfect. So there were some mixed emotions, based off the day, but for the most part, everybody was happy. They were fired up and they were together. Now they got their time off, and we get to see them tomorrow morning, at 6:30 a.m. in this room.
Take a couple more for Coach. If anybody's got them, we'll start with Chris.
Do you know how much do you think sort of the element of surprise helped? And if you have to play the same way the last two games, do you think that could be a winning formula for you guys the rest of the way?
I think the biggest thing is, once again, this thing was dictated off of personnel. We can't keep basing hey, so-and-so is going to be healthy, so-and-so is going to be healthy, so-and-so is going to be healthy, and then so-and-so is not healthy. That's not fair to everyone else. So we're basing these things off of guys who are healthy, not somebody we're expecting to be healthy. So it could change based off of how our health changes.
And then Emily in front for the last question.
I know you hadn't seen it on Saturday, but have you seen the footage of Garrett's backflip, and what were your thoughts?
I just saw him. What was it? It was 8:32 a.m. today. I saw him. I saw him last night. We had some we had a kumbaya meeting with 103 stepbrothers watching. But I thought he nailed it. I thought it was a 10.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
I'll come around for a request. You have a state? That must be where it went.